All right, so what did we do in the last 2 weeks? We did a lot of stuff. And I want to start with some news. We've got some interesting, fun news. We have two shows that we are now confirmed that we will be showing Last Regiment at. The very first show, the very first showing of Last Regiment in the world, appropriately, will be in the Philippines. That's sort of the spiritual home of Boomzap. It's where most of our staff is. I'm proud that we're going to introduce our game in the Philippines. This is a cool thing. It's at the ESGS gaming event. It's the big commercial show in the Philippines. And there's, it's a very interesting show. It's run by people that we know. They're very good people. It's a very good show. It's the biggest thing that happens in games in the Philippines. So we'll be introducing the world to the game at that show. October 27th, 28th, and 29th. We will be in the Philippines showing this game to Filipinos. So that's cool. I also have another showing of the game, and this is probably the bigger news. We will definitely be showing this game at PAX South in San Antonio. This will be our first demonstration of the game to sort of the larger world in North America. PAX South, of course, is in January, so we would have November and December and a little bit of January to put some time into the game and fix some of the major things that we noticed at ESGS that people didn't like, so that when we show off at PAX, we sort of have the biggest, bestest game that we can put together. I actually wanted to have a little talk about game shows, and I wanted to show you some stuff. This is what we've got going for our booth. We actually had to have one of our artists look at it, and here's the booth size, and here's what's going to be there, and design what's going to be where. Had to figure out what's going to be in the booth, where we're going to show stuff. So this is kind of what we're thinking about for the booth. Usually we have to make our own stuff, and part of the question when you make your own stuff is how do you get it there, right? I'm coming from Tokyo. I've got people coming from Southeast Asia. The shows are in places like Boston and Seattle and San Antonio, and there's weight restrictions on how much stuff you can get, and it's hundreds of dollars to get stuff on a plane. So, all of these things are things you have to consider when you put together your materials. And so all of this stuff that you see in that booth right there, that's actually being provided by ESGS because they're a really cool convention and they're buying us a bunch of stuff. But I can't bring any of that home with me. It's all like big, huge pieces of, cardboard and wood and stuff. I don't actually know what happens to it when it's dead, but, it's not ours. We can't use it. So we have to think when we go to an event like PAX South, how do we decorate the booth? And it's so funny. They actually have conventions to sell things for conventions. They have a convention. It's very meta, where you can see all of the materials that you can bring to conventions. And then you have to do kind of a cost analysis. Is it worth because this shit ain't cheap. Do we need $100 worth of stuff, $1,000 worth of stuff? Some of these booths you go in and that they dropped 5 or 6K on this. I went to the guys who run Tiny Build are good friends of mine. And, I won't tell you what they spent on their booth, but I will tell you it is, more than we spend on our entire company for a couple months. And that's what it cost them to put their big, huge mega booth together for PAX. And, it's not just the cost of putting it together. When it's done, they have a pile of stuff that's 10 feet high and they have to haul it around. For a couple of you who came out to PAX East know that we have sort of a sister studio, Witching Hour in Singapore, run by a couple great friends of mine. And they were at PAX East, and they actually decorated their booth with some stuff that they brought, but also a bunch of furniture that they bought at IKEA because it was cheaper. And when the show was over, they were like, what do we do with all this IKEA furniture? And they actually started giving away chairs and giving away furniture because they couldn't put it on a plane and take it somewhere. So that's one of the things you have to think about when you put together a convention show. The other thing you have to think about is, well, what do I actually want to make at this show? What's the point of the show? What do I hope to achieve? Now, for us at ESGS, we're not in early access yet. They can't download the build yet. They can't play the game yet. They can't buy the game yet. So we have to ask ourselves, when somebody comes to the booth, what do I want out of them? What do I hope that they go home and do? What am I spending my time to go down to Manila for? What am I spending my money for? Why does this exist? And for us right now, it's all about the mailing list, right? We want to make sure that people are interested in this game, and if they are interested in this game, that when we do have something to sell them, we can let them know that it exists. And so we want them to join our Facebook group. We want them to, log on to our Twitter. We want them to give us their email address so that we can email them. And it sounds spammy when you say it like that. You're like, oh man, you're trying to get their personal info. Well, yes, of course we're trying to get their personal info. That's the whole point. What, I don't just go to a show to, like, show off my game and be like, look, isn't that cool? I go to a show because I hope to make money, and we have to make money by letting people know that we exist at a time when they can get it. And right now you can't get the game, so I can't just say, like, here, go buy the game right now. They can't buy the game right now. They won't be able to buy the game until next year. So I have to somehow create some way to get them to give a fuck enough about us so that when we do have something to sell, we have a way to reach out and say, okay, it's time for you to buy the thing that you wanted. I also want to talk a little bit about the dangers of going to a convention. And one of the big dangers, we got this cool looking booth. We're going to go to this show and show off our game. Now, the thing is, we're not even alpha yet. We're still very rough. But the media is not great at knowing that. They're not really skilled at knowing how deep into this game are you right now and being forgiving of a game that's still quite early. And so you have to wonder. There's a balancing line between, is this game ready to show? Is it good enough to show? Are we going to get trashed by the media? Because you only get one chance to show media your game for the first time. So if you show the media your game and they hate it, now, instead of just trying to get somebody interested in your game, you're trying to convince them that your game isn't as shitty as it was last time they saw it. And so there's some sort of minimum bar of quality that you have to hit when you show somebody your game. But you have to balance that against, if you wait until your game is totally finished to let anyone know about it, you don't get that ramping up time to let people know that you're there. You don't get that ramping up time to let people be involved in the development. And most importantly, you don't get that time to have people get involved in your game and have opinions about your game with enough chance and time to make real adjustments to your game based on that. And so there's always this huge, it's for a developer, it's a really scary, frustrating issue trying to figure out, is this game good enough to be shown but still early enough to allow me to actually have some sort of meaningful reaction to the reactions that I get from the game at the show. I think we're there at ESGS, but I don't think we're there for PAX yet. I think our game needs to be a lot better before it shows itself at PAX. So, stuff that we did this week. We did a bunch of new stuff. I'll talk about it when we get into the game. For those of you who are new to the game or don't remember how the game is played or need a refresher, we are now going to put together our regiment. And our regiment is the thing that we are going to bring into the game and fight. It's kind of like building your own card deck. Notice, by the way, this is a new thing that just got added last night. Notice that I can rearrange my troops however I want now, so that I can set up my bar however I want. So if I want her, at the beginning or the end, I can move her around. This is important because the first character to show up in the game, the character you're going to start the game with, is the one that is all the way at slot number 1. So if I put Zilvera there, when I start the game, I will start out with Zilvera. All right, so those of you who are interested in our game and have been here for a number of these gaming sessions might notice a new thing. Look at that pretty border on the edge of our map. Remember our maps used to look all ugly and weird on the edges? I couldn't take it anymore. Put my foot down. I said, I know it's not important, but I can't look at this anymore. I need the map to start looking like a map. So now you can see that we have a nice solid edge on the edge of our map. Those of you who are strategy nerds will understand that that means half of our hexes got cut in half. These half hexes are not walkable. So I can't go to that little spot right there, but I can go to the spots next to them. But there we go. Another thing that the team doesn't even know I did. I did this morning. They may or may not be mad at me. I have added in the idea that heavy vegetation actually kills your line of sight. I want to see if it's fun or not. So you'll notice that my line of sight where I can see is kind of weird shaped. The reason it's weird shaped is because these swamps and these jungles are stopping me from seeing into the swamps and jungles. I'm curious to see how this plays out. Now, notice another new thing down here in the bottom corner of the screen. I'll move myself out of the way for a minute. Here, I'll be over here for a bit. You'll notice that down here in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a big coin with an X on it. The big coin with an X on it is telling you that thing is not available right now because you can't afford it. We wanted to make sure that when people look down in that bottom corner, they knew why they couldn't summon something. So that's the language for, hey, you're out of money, you can't get that. Now, remember, some of this is placeholder art, but the idea is now you can see when you look down there very quickly, oh, that's why I can't get that guy. I can't get that guy because I don't have the money. We have another new thing. If I would like, before I build something, I can explore the ruins. This is a new thing. Brand new ruins have treasure chests. When you're going out, checking out the world, you can actually stop by and explore the ruins and maybe get a little extra money. Or maybe bad things will happen. A magical random lockbox of things can happen as you go there. It's a little random magic dip there when you get to the ruins. Let's see what happened. Look like I got a little gold is what it looks like it happened. We need more language for telling you what happened at the thing. On new things that we added this week, by the way, check this out. I know this doesn't seem like a big deal, but it was work. You can now shoot your area of effect weapons on a spot instead of on a character. It used to be you always had to aim them on a character. And it sucked because, like, what if there was a character here and a character here and I wanted to shoot between them and catch both of them in the area of effect? I couldn't do that. I had to shoot one or the other. I also couldn't, like, shoot to the left of somebody to not hit my guys. But now you can do that. So now I can say, all right, you, in this case, I want to just hit that guy. But I could, if I wanted to, shoot around him, and that would actually make the area of effect different. So that's actually a cool thing that we added. That's a new thing. New stuff. Anyway, we'll be back 2 weeks. We'll have more stuff to show. We'll see all you guys then.